Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody, to a three-part series on delving into the most powerful prayer, that meditative prayer that is known. And this is called the Shema in Judaism. Shema Israel is origins comes from the time when the Jewish people had come down to Egypt. Basically, it describes how 70 souls went down into the land of Egypt, and the tribes were accompanied with their father, and their father Jacob, was concerned because he saw how his children are going to be going through the exile and dealing with the boundaries and the hardships of being in the land of Egypt, in Hebrew Mitzrayim, which means boundaries, limitations, constrictions, challenges. And his children uttered those words to him, Shema Yisrael Ad Hashem Elokeinu Ad Hashem Echad. So he's getting reassured by his children that everything that's out here in this world, everything that we're going to be facing, God within us and God outside reflected upon us, it's all one. We're all one, and we are with you. And Yisrael is also the name of their father. When God changed Jacob's name to Yisrael, he said, now you will no longer be called Yaakov, you'll be called Yisrael. And Yisrael is denoting all the Jewish people, the nation of Israel. So I want to talk about a little bit, now you know the origins of the Shema in the Torah. And now I want to talk about prayer itself. When we speak is very powerful, and as we utter words, we're creating vibration, and that vibration is going out and actually altering and materializing and altering our reality. And whatever is vibrating within us is being reflected back. The world is reflecting back that reality. And even in the word dibur, speech, you can see, that a lot of times in our culture, there's different things that we say and we take for granted, and we don't realize that there's a hidden meaning behind it, like the word abracadabra. In the word cadabra, you think, oh, I'm going to magically make something appear. Well, in that word itself, you have the word dibur. So there's a power in speech. And God created the world through speech. It says there was the first 10 utterances, and from those origins of 10 utterances, other things came into creation. So speech is very, very powerful in general. So it's always good to take note of that. But especially when we're doing the Shema, and a lot of us say the Shema every day. And the Shema is something, actually, I want to speak about different mitzvahs, different places that we utilize the Shema, the prayer of the Shema. First of all, we actually pray the Shema in the morning. It's in our morning prayers and in our evening prayers and before we go to sleep. So 3 times a day we're saying this prayer. Then the Shema is in the tefillin of when men wear tefillin, which is a prayer garment that they use that. I don't know if anybody have ever seen how they wrap the straps, black leather straps around their left arm, and there's this huge big box in the center of their forehead, and there's one facing their heart, which is to basically create a alignment between the mind and the heart, and that the mind should rule over the heart. Emotions shouldn't just go wild. It should have that the mind is giving it guidance. And the Shema prayer is inside the box that's worn on top of their forehead by the third eye. It's actually worn right here. And one is facing the heart, and the Shema is in there as well. Another place that the prayer of the Shema is in the mezuzahs, on the doorposts. You'll find this. Some people have a decorative piece on their doorpost with a shin on it, or with the name of God, the shin, the dalet, and the yud on it. And what's inside there is the Shema. And you should, just to mention, not to go into great detail, but every letter has a very, very specific way that it's formed. And that sometimes there were stories when there, was certain issues going on in the home, whether it be something personal or peace between the husband and wife, harmony and peace between the husband and wife, or issues with health or issues with finances, whatever it was, that seemingly, like, all of a sudden there's like too many things going on at the same time. What's going on? It's like a black cloud is over the house. And they would go to the Rebbe was someone that thousands and thousands of people from all over the world went to the Rebbe with, his divine inspiration and awareness as a leader of the Jewish people, and asked him, for guidance. And many, many times, in this situation, the Rebbe would say, check your tefillin or check your mezuzahs. And literally there were words that, from the sun or whatever, some of the part of the letter got faded out, and you could see, like, literally how it was affecting the house or affecting the energy. So, words are very powerful. Writing things down are very powerful. People are learning that from The Secret and the Law of Attraction, but actually the origins of all this is already in the Torah. It's all there already. And what's wonderful about the Torah is that we have, very, very precise guidance on how to unify, this great lights, or unify the breadth of the utterance of the speech, to take formation and have good results. Because after all, if you introduce too much light or too much information into a vessel that is just constricted, not ready to receive it, it can have undesirable effects. And after all, we want to do things in a way where we're not overwhelming ourselves, and we're doing things, living moment to moment, step by step. And I think this whole last 2.5 years or so, or two, we've been learning that lesson about really, really paying attention to living in the moment. And there's nothing more powerful than the utterance of this prayer. I mean, Shema is the most, you could see that it is so powerful and so central in the theme of all the prayers in Judaism, since it's in all these mitzvahs. It's in the mezuzahs, it's in the tefillin, we're saying it 3 times a day. It's the last thing we say before we close our eyes and we go to sleep. So let's talk about a little bit, and I feel like I am not going to be able to cover everything in one session. What's so powerful and what's going on? Let's talk about the first sentence. Yeah, if I show this prayer to you this way, I know you're going to see it the other way around. I need to know how to. Anyway, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. So we spoke about before how actually the sons of Jacob were speaking to their father, who was called Yisrael. The Lord is our God, the Lord is one. Okay? So Yisrael is actually a collective of the consciousness of the divine in the Jewish people, and collectively going out and spreading as the rays of the sun go out into the world, into the nations of the world. And why am I saying that? Because it says 70 souls entered into Egypt, and we learned that there are 70 nations. So in essence, we are collectively all one. And hearing, what is it about hearing? What's the difference between seeing something and hearing something? When we see something, right, it's like God is showing me something. I see the splitting of the Red Sea, right? You see something from above to below. You see, and you see the whole entire picture, but you're not really appreciating the details of everything. Also, it's a fleeting moment. And because you can't appreciate the details, and maybe you weren't even involved in having this experience of making this event occur, it doesn't seem to stay. It doesn't stay. It doesn't take permanence into the world. Our purpose in being here in this world is to not only draw down the influence of the light of the divine that is unlimited, but we want to draw it down in a way that it will stay. It will take permanence and take expression into the nature, into the natural consistency of the day-to-day existence of the world. So that is accomplished through hearing. Hearing is something that we get. You don't see the whole picture, right? You get it piece by piece by piece by piece. And that means every day you're living your life in a way, this is something you can meditate on when you're saying Shema. Just say Shema, listen. You're telling yourself, listen, pay attention. Pay attention to every moment that you're experiencing. And it's not just sitting under by nature. And yes, that's beautiful. If you can clear yourself and meditate and take a few minutes to really center, that's very, very helpful. But we want to take that experience into the mundane realities of everyday living, that, whatever it is you're facing, whether you're a mother, whether you're a teacher, whether you're someone who goes to an office every day, whether you're a nurse, you're a doctor, every person you're engaged with, and I'm in traffic, you want to listen and pay attention, which means to be consciously aware of, okay, so I'm in this situation. What is the divine providence? What is the guidance that I'm receiving here? What is the message I'm receiving here? What can I do to utilize this moment in the best way possible? How am I aligning with my inner purpose at this moment? That is listen. That is paying attention. And as you gather this information piece by piece by piece, you get the bigger picture, and you are able to actually experience in the infinity of God's being, which is Mashiach in this world now. And that spreads into the world. Okay, Yisrael. What is Yisrael? Yisrael, if you break down the word Yisrael, there's other definitions, but for the sake of what I want to explain here, means Yashar Kel. Break it down. Yashar Kel. Yashar means straight or alignment. Kel is the name of God. So you want to be in alignment with your godly soul. You want to be in alignment with your divine purpose. Shema Yisrael. Listen, in order for me to be in alignment with my godly soul. Is this serving my divine purpose? Is this serving humanity's divine purpose? Or am I here, for instance, give you an example. You're running a business, okay? And today it's like really, really becoming a strong message to us. Are you here to simply just make money? Money is something that allows me to be able to, have food on the table, to have a roof over my head, to have my immediate needs taken care of. But when money becomes the center of purpose, it's something that is now not going to be able to function in its full capacity. It's a system that's collapsing on itself, and it's, you don't want to be in that place. By way of default, you will earn everything that you need, but by being in your divine purpose, by saying, I'm here really to serve the higher purpose of bringing light into the world. Example, I heard of a very, very wealthy person, and I don't remember. It's a while ago that I saw this. He's very wealthy. He had all the money that you can imagine, all the wealth, all the people knew about him. And he said he got to a place where he had everything he wanted and he needed. But for some reason, he just didn't feel happy. He didn't feel inspired. He didn't wake up in the morning feeling happy about life. Okay. And he has everything. And he realized that his purpose in doing what he's doing is not fulfilling. Something is missing. He feels something is missing. And he built a new business. And the business, I think, was to build homes that would be something easily feasible to everybody. And his whole purpose went into basically and doing acts of goodness and kindness. And so his whole way of working the business was constantly focused on how can I help? How can I make things better for people in the world? And when he shifted into that focus, he not only felt better, but he actually became even more successful. His income became much more. And I don't want to just give you figures off the top of my head, but that's what I remember from the story. So Shema Yisrael, let's be in alignment. Listen, and let's be in alignment with what we're really here to do. Then we have two names of God. You have Yud, which denotes the Adni, and Elokeinu. Okay. The Adni is representing Yud Ke Vav Ke, which is the tetragrammaton of God's name. It represents God expressed above nature, going beyond nature. And Elokeinu is almost like in plural, multiple gods. So what's really going on over here? Yud Ke Vav Ke actually has within them your 10 attributes. The Yud is very, very small, and the Yud represents your ability to be humble and to surrender to something bigger than yourself. Okay, it's parallel to Chachma. To Chachma means God's great wisdom, fountain of wisdom. So you kind of go into that place where you're nullifying yourself to God's great fountain of wisdom, and that's the world of intellect. The Hey in God's name is representing Bina, and that's the expansion of an idea. It's expansion. Bina is understanding. And then, so the person has an idea and they have an understanding to that idea. That's the Yud, and then that's the Hey. The Vav is when it generates an emotion. So the person has an idea, they have an understanding of the idea, and now I'm either going to draw away from something or I'm going to move towards it, depending if the idea and how I understand it is generating love, I'm going to move towards it. Or if it's generating fear, I may go away from it because I feel it's not serving me. And that's in the Vav of the third letter of God's name, of the tetragrammaton. The Vav in God's name also is the numerical value of the number 6. The number 6 represents 6 emotional attributes of which we have in our heart, of how we express emotions. And the last letter is Hey in the tetragrammaton, which represents kingship. It represents where I'm mastering my where there's an alignment between the intellect and the emotional attributes. I have an alignment with my purpose, and that is establishing kingship in me, and that's what makes you unlimited to have access to the innermost will of God, which means you have access to the highest information and the world is here to serve you. Elokeinu is, so to give you an analogy of what Yud Ke Vav Ke tetragrammaton, the name of God, means, it's almost like the sun in its being, all powerful, and then it has rays that go out, right? And it's reflecting the rays out into the world, reflecting sun rays, and that's Elokeinu. That's like God expressed within nature. So the light the energy of all the intellect and the emotions that lie within us are being diffused and going out into the world, and everything that comes into existence in every level of creation is getting this light, this radiation of that. It's being sustained and receiving sustenance from the Yud Kei Vav Kei, the light going out. It's called Or Choser. Elokeinu is like what's being reflected back. So it's very, very important to be aware of anything that's pre-existing in your program is being reflected out into the world, and then the world is reflecting whatever is there. Hashpa'a, yes, influence. My husband's giving me little keywords here. So the sun is like a what they call a mashpia, the mentor, right? And the Elokeinu, nature, is like the makabel, he's the recipient. So whatever you put out, you're receiving back. That's Shema Israel. Listen, Israel, be in alignment and pay attention. Hashem and Elokeinu, right? Not God above nature and above God within nature, which means I'm telling myself whatever I have in my program, it's not limited. Yes, there's a pre-existing program, but it's not limited. And Elokeinu, that everything out in the world that's within nature is a reflection of the Yud Kei Vav Kei, the Tetragrammaton. And then it continues. It almost seems like it's redundant. It's saying Hadoshem Echad. God is one. The Yud Kei Vav Kei is one. So it's reminding you, first of all, that everything that's out in the world that is in your reality that you're experiencing is simply a reflection of everything that's within. It's also reminding you that you're not limited. God is not limited when we're aligned with divine purpose, right? Okay. And that's a very important point, because I remember looking at the films on The Secret and, what the people we know, and, law of attraction and everything. And as powerful as that information was, something was missing. I kept feeling like there's something missing here. And what's missing is that if the energy you're putting out there is not in alignment with divine purpose, right? It's all about self-serving. It's selfish instead of being selfless. Thank you, Mati, my Tanya teacher. Then it's a system that's going to collapse on itself. It's self-serving, and it's going to become self-destructive. Anything that is self-serving cannot last. It's just not capable of lasting. Okay, it's going to collapse on itself. And anything that is in divine service, with the purpose is aligned with divine service, is going to expand and expand and expand and expand. So if I'm a person, let's say, simple thing, I want more power, I want more money, I want everybody to know me, it's all about me, everyone's going to serve me, right? We know those kind of people, unfortunately. Unfortunately, they're deluded to think that this is something that can go on and on, but that's a system that is going to self-destruct eventually. We've seen it many times in history, over and over and over again. We hope that by now that this has been learned.
You have access to data, and we're on a mission.
Right. We are right. My husband's reminded to say we have people who are in divine service have access to data that is considered to be, like the secret services would have, access, because they're serving a higher mission, a higher purpose. So when a person is serving the higher purpose and he is being basically in service to the higher divine purpose and consciousness of creation, then you have access to divine information, and this is something that will, you will grow and expand, just like that man that I described, whose business started to flourish, and he was enjoying what he was doing. He was actually enjoying what he was doing, working together.
More and more people are becoming aware and awakened.
Yeah. Yeah, and we are in a time where more and more people are becoming awakened and aware. Um, the other, and again, what does it mean, echad? Echad is also when you're declaring God is one, you're actually sending out a vibration out in the totality of the planet and into the universe and the galaxies that you're sending that vibration. And the last letter of echad is a dalet. The dalet is the four corners of the earth, and I'm going to include above and below. You're sending it out to all the entire planet, that God is one. You're sending out that message. And imagine when you're meditating and you're taking in that awareness and you're sending that out. When the mind becomes in all its awareness of thought, is an awareness in alignment with the feeling of what you're understanding from this prayer, and that is being sent out to the masses, out into the world, through you, around you, and out to the world. It's very, very powerful. um, there are many, many stories with the prayer of the Shema. I'll mention one. um, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, as I mentioned before, people came to him. I'm going to mention him time to time because I got, there is so much we can learn and understand through him. And also it's about acknowledging where I'm getting my divine inspiration from, and that's showing my gratitude. Um, the Rebbe, was time of the war. We think about the Jewish people in Israel when they came. They dealt with a lot of challenges, and one of the main two wars that is very famous among many was the 6 Day War and the Yom Kippur War. And at the time, when the Rebbe was very involved in these times, and always was involved. But at that time, he gave specific instruction to his emissaries, the shluchim, uh, to go out into the fields where there was battle, and to don tefillin, which has the Shema in it, um, on the soldiers in the middle of a battlefield. Okay, and so you hear about. I mean, there was so many miraculous events that occurred in Israel, and but we had so much guidance. It's literally like Moses telling the Jewish people what to do when they were faced with many, many challenges. This is literally Moses himself coming back, and more than Moses, a Mashiach, but that's a different discussion for a different time. But I'm just mentioning that. And they went out and they had miracles. They had so many miracles. It says that the power of wearing tefillin is like when the Jews carried the ark. It said it caused any enemies to flee, because there's something, because you're saying there's nothing but God. You're saying that anything that's out there in the world is a reflection of everything that's in here. And when you're in that place of divine alignment, with divine purpose, nothing that is outside of that can exist. It will cause everything else to flee. And there's literally multiple stories about that. So I think how much time are we doing already? This is almost half hour. I was only able to talk about the first sentence in the prayer of the Shema, and I think we're going to continue later on with more divine inspiration. And I just want you to take that in. Um, and thank you very much. And please press like if you like, and please subscribe to show your support. And thank you very much. Have a blessed day.